For more Home Sweet Home tips and ideas, be sure to like us on Facebook at the Home Sweet Home Show.
All right, welcome back. This is the Home Sweet Home Radio Show. I am Calvin Parker Jr., and like we said earlier, this is all about helping you create the perfect living space. So I'd like to introduce our next guest, Mr. Tim Kite.
Thanks, Calvin.
With Rocky Mountain Retro Foam. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. A little tired from how busy we are, but yeah, it's all good. That's what we want.
Well, you're like we were saying in our on the phone conversation, busy is good.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly right.
You know, nobody calling, so you gotta like that. Is this a busy time of year for you guys?
Well, typically this time of year we're kind of catching up from the winter season. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people, obviously, when you're in the house and you're feeling those cold drafts coming through in the winter, and you're hearing your heater stay on, it consistently runs. Right. Obviously, at that point, you're worried about bills, so people call.
People start calling.
Yeah, so we get incredibly busy over the winter months. Now, once we come into the spring and summer, we're actually starting to pull out of that or dig out of it from being so far behind. But like right now, we're currently about a month to a month and a half behind on the installs.
Oh, wow.
You know, which is just how many we have going on. So it's a little crazy, but as we go through summer, we'll kind of dig out of that, and then when fall gets here, it'll start over again.
All right. Well, real quick, for those that might not be familiar with Rocky Mountain Retro Foam, let's give them a little overview, explain, paint that picture for them, exactly what you guys do, if you would.
Well, here's where Rocky Mountain Retro Foam is different. Mm-hmm. We have invented a foam that goes into the walls of existing homes. So in other words, when you have a home that's cold and drafty, or it's hot in the summer and you're wanting to make it cooler, we're able to get in those walls without having to tear them down. So this is really perfect for existing homes, whether they're new builds or they're older built, especially before 1980. There was no code for any insulation in the walls. I mean, that's hard to believe. But basically, there was nothing in the building code saying that you had to have insulation in the walls. Therefore, walls that we find for those homes a lot of times are completely empty.
Really?
Yeah.
So in the house I grew up in, for instance, built in, say, the 50s, little brick ranch. So a home like that.
That is absolutely a perfect way to go. Yeah, because, obviously you don't want to tear down brick. You don't want to tear down your drywall or your plaster or anything like that. A lot of homes even earlier had plaster and lath.
Yeah.
And it's just such a mess. It's time consuming. It's messy. But we've developed a way that we can get into those walls without having to do that. So in a lot of cases, especially if you have aluminum siding or vinyl siding or anything like that.
Stucco?
Yeah, stucco.
Really?
Brick.
So pretty much any type of material you can get in.
Yeah, wood siding, hardy board siding, all of that, we're able to still get into those walls and not have to tear everything down. And most homes are done in a day.
Wow.
So you see immediate results.
All right, so the spray-in, so people might think it's not quite like the polyurethane
correct
foam, right? That you spray in, like people can get the little bottles.
Right.
But they also do that in larger.
Store.
Yeah, but that's for those that I want people to understand. Like the polyurethane spray, you usually see it in a can, but there are companies that do it in larger amounts.
Yeah,
like
thank
drums,
you so much
they
for
bring
saying
out,
that.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is
so I want people to understand that that's not what we're talking about.
Not at all.
Okay.
And that's the biggest misconception when people are talking to us. We do have a lot of customers that call and they'll ask us, okay, can you do my roof? The decking underneath, the in the attic area. Right. That is not what this product is. This product.
Now, is that the one? Sorry to interrupt. Again, that product that they're talking about, like you spray in between the studs, and then they usually like shave it down.
That's right.
Right.
There's two different ways. You have a polyurethane that is an open cell, and then you also have a closed cell, depending on what you're trying to get to.
Okay.
So basically, the open cell is the one you see a lot of times where they spray it on the DIY shows, or the fix and flip homes and things like that where they rehab. They'll go in and spray it, and it just balloons up really big.
And then they...
Correct. That is the open cell, and that's where they'll shave it down
and
to
they'll
the
shave
stud.
it down to the stud. Okay.
And then
that
I've
seen that process.
Yeah. You got it.
Okay.
And that's one way of doing it. Then there's also a closed cell. And the closed cell doesn't really foam up that much, but it's much more rigid. So those are very good ways of doing like new construction homes, or if you have those open areas and studs you can get to. So a good product for all of that.
So new build or
That's
something
right.
that's not finished yet,
Correct.
and you're wanting to finish it. That's a
That's
good option.
perfect for that spray foam option.
But pre-existing, so your process,
Correct.
more so for getting into cavities, spaces that are
That's right.
covered already.
Ours is put in with pressure.
Okay.
So basically, as we get into those walls and start filling it up, if you ever see our Facebook ads or TV ads or anything like that, you'll notice it kind of looks like a shaving cream crawling up your wall.
Yeah, I've
and
seen
so
that.
it's a fun. A lot of people love to watch it because it's very relaxing and soothing. It's
It is
fun
cool.
to watch it.
I saw the video with the brick. And how,
Exactly.
it fills in those spaces and through the holes into the next
Yeah.
cavity, and then that's
It
pretty
just
cool.
keeps going to the next cavity. So what it's doing, it's kind of a liquidy like shaving cream as it first goes in. And so that is why we can't just put it on an empty cavity, because it would just be like shaving cream, just fall on
Just
the floor.
fall right out, right.
Yeah, you just have a big old blob hanging out on the floor and it wouldn't go anywhere.
Right.
So we have to have an enclosed cavity.
So something that's finished, like we
Correct.
said, your pre-existing wall.
You
space,
got it.
Okay.
So as we go in there and fill that in, of course, that pressure that we have will go in and it'll fill all the little cracks and crevices. So you'll see it sometimes come out through window areas, where there was holes where drafts are coming in.
So that's really showing you it's working. Because
that's exactly right.
Those spots, those pockets, those cavities, so to speak, where air does
That's
get
right.
through, it's filling those in.
That's
what you're not
exactly
going
right.
to do with like your regular what's the other insulation that you're putting in?
Like
Maybe
fiberglass
like the
insulation or
batting
cellulose,
or
correct.
cellulose, right?
Right.
Okay. So
yeah,
it
those
will-
they have a lot of air going through that, so that doesn't stop the draftiness. So if we didn't have wind, the world would be a great place for that.
Right,
But
right.
now we just have better technology, so now with this foam, and what makes this foam so special is that we can put it in while the customers are in the home. There is no off-gassing. There is nothing that's going to harm a person with this foam. So in other words, if some of it comes out, and let's say you have babies or you have pets, and it comes out an electrical socket on the inside because, it was filling those holes. And let's say they go up and eat some of it, and ingest it, this does not harm anybody. It doesn't hurt them at all.
So environmentally friendly.
It is. It's a green product. It's environmentally friendly. If there's any excess that hits the ground outside, we try to clean it up. But on the other hand, if it doesn't, it's biodegradable.
Okay.
This just goes right away.
Right.
As long as it's not in that cavity, it's easily broken down and easy to deal with.
Easy to clean.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Very
do you have to
simple.
use solvents for it, or is it just
Not at all.
Just
No.
water?
Usually soap
Water-based-
and water.
Soap and water.
So like if we go up to a cavity, which is an electrical socket or something like that, or underneath sinks, a lot of times you'll have holes in the wall, so it'll pour out of there. To clean it up, we just literally take our hands, go in there, grab it, throw it in a trash bag, and then we'll wipe it up with like a simple green or soap and water. And it leaves no residue.
I would think for me being a homeowner, family man with kids, I think that's huge.
It
think
is.
about, especially in older houses, you don't know what you're disturbing once you start ripping
That's
walls.
exactly right. Once you start,
Once you
it never
start,
ends.
Yeah, to be able to do it, the convenience of being able to do it while you're home. You're not having to move furniture around. You're not having to, we're not even talking about actually breaking or pulling down walls.
Oh,
but
not at all.
just the inconvenience of having to move stuff out of the way.
Right.
So I think that's an interesting process.
It really is, and
That's
it's great.
And it's safe.
Our crews are fantastic. If we can do it from the inside of the house or the outside. So let's say you didn't want us to do it from the outside for whatever reason, we can definitely do it on the inside as well.
Inside. And then you take care of the repairs.
You betcha. Yeah,
So
what
regardless-
we do when we have to drill, let me give you a couple of examples.
Okay.
We drill a hole in, there's two different kinds of holes that we drill. One is a 5/8 of an inch drill, and that's when we do stucco or we do brick, because we don't want to make a big hole. All right.
Right.
And so we want to make a small hole. So when we do that, like in brick, we go in the mortar area so we don't hit the brick itself. You want to minimize any of that.
Right.
So
Makes
we go in
sense.
the mortar. We're able to fill the foam in through that hole that we create, and then we put mortar to go back in it afterwards. So basically, when we leave your house, that is done.
It's done, right?
Yeah.
And
Stucco.
You're not weakening the brick or any of the structure
Not at all.
itself.
Not at all.
Okay.
And stucco, we drill that hole as well. fill it, and then we put the mortar in place, to fill that spot as well. So it's easy to cover up. So if you may need a little touch-up paint, to do that.
Right.
Now, if we go to some walls, let's say you have T111 siding, which is wood vertical siding. There are 4x8 sheets of wood that you put on the outside of the house. We drill a 2.5-inch hole through that, every stud cavity. So basically, like the house we were doing yesterday, it was nice because we didn't have fire breaks going up and down the wall. So we were able to drill one hole, and we were able to fill that entire cavity,
that whole cavity,
top to bottom, with just the one hole.
Okay.
And then afterwards, we plug it with a wood plug. It depends on the texture that you have. We'll either put a pine plug in there, or we'll put a cedar plug. That way we can do cedar homes as well. And once we put it in there, of course, it just takes touch-up paint, and then, it goes pretty much unnoticeable.
Man, interesting. So let's talk about some of the benefits of retro foam compared to some of the other insulation options, so to speak. And by the way, you guys, you can go to RockyMountainRetroFoam.com. Correct? All right. And they've got a great little chart on there. I learned a lot just from the chart, like looking at the difference between retro foam and some of the other ones.
Right.
So let's talk about the benefits now, that people kind of understand the process and what it's used for.
Well, there's a lot of benefits. Obviously, the first thing is making your home so much more comfortable. Once you have this in your wall, it is permanent. You don't have any maintenance that is required. So it also does not slump, or sag or fall in the wall.
Similar like cellulose, for instance.
Exactly. It doesn't settle or anything like that.
Right.
So that's one of the major benefits, is once you put this in, you're done with it. Now, another great benefit of this is that if you have polyurethane spray foam that fills that wall, it's going to be really hard to put electrical lines in if you want another outlet or any of that.
Right.
This foam is not made like that. It's kind of a softer foam, and it forms into a plastic barrier in there that protects your home from any of that wind that's coming in or out. It also has a much higher R value, about 35% higher than any other insulation out there. So you get absolute protection from any kind of wind or your heat or air moving out of your walls like it does now. Because right now, any wall that has cellulose or anything like that in it, you're still losing about 35% of your heat or your AC from that wall.
Right.
And so with this, it stops that because it has sealing qualities where those don't. So when we put it in your wall, it is permanent. You don't have to worry about it. But if you do need to run a wire through it, fish tape is all you need, and it runs right through it.
And it runs right through it.
No issue. Now, let's say you had to get into the wall because you had a pipe leaking or something like that. No issue at all either. So cut out the drywall where you need to get to it. You can literally dig this out with your hands with no effort. It's not hard at all.
It's not hard at all.
No. And that's the biggest misconception people have. They think that when it goes in,
it's done. It's permanently.
Yeah, the poor electricians. I feel terrible for them because they're like, I've had so many people say, never do this because, you get it in your walls, you can't run wires or good luck with pipes or anything.
Yeah, then if you've ever dealt with like the polyurethane spray foam.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, it is a pain to get through.
And this is so easy to deal with, so you don't have to worry about it. It's just, it's not anything that's hard that you can't get wires through or, like I said, get in to cut through a pipe or whatever you need to. You can dig it out by hand with no issue.
Nice. And you'd mentioned if you have a pipe leak or something like that. So if it gets wet, if it gets damp.
That's another thing. This is a combination of open cell and closed cell.
Okay.
It's 60% closed cell or open cell and 40% closed cell. So what that means is it's also hydrophobic. So basically what happens if water gets in there, it sheds it. So if you get water in your walls from, let's say, a windstorm, or a rainstorm with a lot of wind or anything like that, and it gets underneath your siding and it gets in your walls, it's just going to shed it and go out. Now, if you're in a flood, let's say, and you have sustained water going up in there, it will collect that water, not like a sponge, but yes, it will let the water in. But as soon as that water is gone, it dries out perfectly.
All right. So compared to, say, like your batting insulation type, or
once cellulose or batting gets wet,
it's done. You got to pull it out and start over.
That's correct.
Mold
issues, and this is mold resistant.
So as long as your wood's intact, this is going to stay intact as
Exactly.
well. And you don't have to. It's not like, well, got to tear it all out and got to do it again.
That's correct. Right. Yeah, a lot of people that are having issues with mold, they love this, because we're able to put that in there, and it stops a lot of that mold from happening, because a lot of times it's created because of lack of ventilation, because that air is coming through, or the cold is coming through one side and the heat's hitting the other side. So when that happens, you get condensation, and that creates mold eventually if you don't have ventilation. So this, when you put it in your walls, it's stopping that conductivity of going from one side of the wall to the other, so you don't have those condensation issues. So it makes it so much nicer. And that's another one of the main benefits of it.
Yeah, I'm seeing nothing but benefits for it.
I'll surprise you with another benefit as well.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah, here's another one, acoustical. This really does an amazing job. You put this in a typical 2x4 wall, which is about 3 5/8 inches thick, and this will actually reduce the noise coming through that wall by up to 80%.
What?
So this is perfect for like professional offices that want an area that's quiet, where other rooms don't hear, or families that they have interior walls where, let's say you have a master bedroom right across from your theater room or your living room where people are staying up and you don't want to hear this TV at night.
Yeah.
Great opportunity to get that wall, fill it, and it'll knock out a lot of that noise.
Or somebody maybe in my profession, a studio,
yes,
home studio.
Yes,
this would definitely. I never thought of that.
We have done those. Yeah, we've done a lot of those too. Basements.
So the interior walls you could fill with that around the studio.
Great way to do it.
Dead sound is what we want.
Because in the interior, there's really no need. I mean, you're heating those walls on the interior, so you don't need insulation. But the sound reduction properties of this is just tremendous. And that's another thing you can go onto on YouTube and look up sound reduction for retro foam. And there's a great little deal we've put there where we have a box that represents your wall and how this works.
Yeah. I did see that one.
There you
put
go.
The alarm, the chirping alarm.
Exactly, the very squealy, chirping, annoying alarm. And you drop it in there, and honestly, before you even put the top on it, it soaks up so much of that because it absorbs that sound tremendously.
So that would be good for, like, say, a homeowner who maybe has their backyard or their house facing like a busy street. Perfect. Do that back wall.
And we do that all day long, every day for people. That is the first thing you'll notice, as a matter of fact, with this. When we put it in, you will notice right off the bat the difference in sound that it has made. Your home gets quiet.
It's too quiet in here. Somebody open a window, please.
I'll tell you, when I first started in the business, I'd see people that I had done this for, and they would get my attention. Hey, Tim, you did our insulation, you know? And I'd say, well, how's it going for you? And they'd say, well, we only have one problem. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear a problem, And I'd say, well, what is it? And it says, well, we had to learn to sleep with it so quiet.
Right.
We were so used to all the noise until
white
noise. Got so quiet until we had to, put a fan in the room or something, because it has made just such a tremendous difference with the sound outside, because we have a busy neighborhood,
Yeah.
So it's so good for sound reduction.
Wow. There you go. So let's tell everybody again where they can find you guys.
You betcha. You can find us at www.rockymountainretrofoam.com. That is a great place to get some really good information.
Yes, it is. And it's very, explanatory.
Very informative.
They got a chart on there that kind of shows you the difference between the retro foam and other options as well. R value, that's...
Yes, the R values are so much higher and so much better and sustainable. That's the good thing about it, because no matter what happens to it, it sustains the R value. It doesn't get old over the years and drop.
Yeah.
And
then once people take a look and get educated, which is what we're here for, they can set up a free estimate.
Yeah,
right?
Set up a free estimate, and that's the best thing to do, because a lot of people, that's the main question is, what is the price?
What is the price, right?
And that differs depending on, what job you have us to do, because it really comes down to the amount of foam that you use, because obviously if we take, our rigs and our crews out to a person's home and they're doing a small area, that's going to be more expensive per square than doing a large house or a big business like we're doing right now.
And like with any home project, it's the value and the benefit you're getting out of it.
Right.
Of course, cost is definitely plays in as a factor. But if you're replacing insulation, windows. If you're doing a big time project, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
expect cost to come with it. So again, I know you can't give estimates, but to come out and do a free estimate, that's
Yeah,
there's
we just
nothing.
come
There's
out.
what are you losing?
Yeah,
right?
no
What are you
obligations at all. We just come out there. One of our energy consultants will look to see if it's something we can do. It's very rare that we can't do it.
Can't do it.
And that's only when we come and we find out that there's no drywall on the wall, or let's say there's nothing to hold it in, so
Hold it
that
in,
pressure
right.
would actually blow out, the sheathing, that is there, because maybe they just put up the tar paper instead of actually OSB or plywood. We've run into that a lot.
Right.
So there's a lot of items like that could stop it. So our guys will come out. They'll make sure everything is good, check the walls, make sure we won't have any problems, and answer any questions you have. And one of the best things is we also have great financing. So if it's something that you just can't afford to pay for out of pocket, a lot of customers do just pay Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or
Right.
check or whatever, because we take everything. But if you need financing, we do have wonderful financing from interest-free all the way up to, possibly 7 years if you want to take it out that long to make it a real easy payment, which is kind of nice, because if you do it that way, it's paying for itself.
Over time, yeah.
Yeah, because you're saving. Some of our customers save as much as 50% or more on their energy bills after they do this. So it doesn't really cost if you look at it from that standpoint. This is actually paying
Right.
you back.
Paying you back, yeah. And if you look at it as opposed to other options, having to tear down walls, redo, rebuild, I mean, it seems like a great option for pre-existing homes. As long as
it's so comforting when the customer, we finish up that day and they're just amazed. They're blown away that already they're feeling the difference in a lot of cases. If it's a really cold day or anything, that's I hear it all the time. Man, I could tell already. I could feel the difference already.
Feel the difference already.
And so they feel the difference, they hear the difference. And obviously on your bills, you're going to see a difference in money in your pocket. So, some people have come to me and said, I just can't afford it. Well, the fact is you're paying for it already.
Right.
It's in the bills that you're paying.
Yeah.
So you can, if you finance with us or something like that, it makes it to where it basically pays for itself.
Interesting. And again, let's go over, you said it works in the majority of types of homes. So brick, stucco, vinyl siding.
You got it.
Right. And it can be both exterior and interior walls.
Could do either way.
Depending on what you're looking to do.
Correct.
Now, basements, if they're finished.
You bet.
Right.
As long as you have that cavity in that wall.
As long as there's a cavity in that
like
wall.
Like a 2-inch cavity, let's say, so we can get a hose in there.
Okay.
And we can fill that up with foam. That's no problem at all.
No problem.
So.
Second story.
Yeah.
As long as it's got a cavity and it's got some way to keep it in there.
You got it.
That's it. Okay.
That's right.
Just want to clarify for everybody.
All walls.
All walls.
Yes.
All walls. All right.
And garages are great, as far as that goes. Getting a lot of people have babies around it.
Yeah, I was telling you, I think before we got started that when my last house, I had one of those tandem garages. And, it's just framed, not even insulation and anything. Man, that thing will get cold in the winter.
It's freezing. You can imagine how much is coming through those walls that are common walls connected to it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I wish I would have known about this then. I probably would have saved me,
You know what, Kevin, I hear that constantly too. I wish I'd have known about this before now.
Yeah.
And I hear that constantly from our customers.
Well,
so it's been wonderful.
There you go. If you're interested, again, you can go to RockyMountainRetrofoam.com.
You got it. Right. Or you can give us a call.
The
number is 720. Sorry, I almost blanked there. 720-676-6333.
One more time. Sorry, I was laughing.
You got it. No problem. It's 720-676-6333.
Tim, man, I appreciate you. And again, you guys, if you have any questions, you can always go to our website, homesweethomecolorado.com. And then you can send us an email and we can get you in touch. But again, you can find them on Facebook as well. Just search RockyMountainRetrofoam.com and go to their website. Go to that website. It's cool. They've got some really cool videos on there to kind of show you the process. Once you see it, you'll have a better understanding. And it's just cool. I saw another one on there, the ball. You blow air up in there.
Oh, yeah.
And so they give you a little example of retro foam. I think it was cellulose.
How the air goes through everything else and this stops it.
So not only do they give you a good explanation on their website, but they'll show you some videos to kind of show you, give you examples as well.
Right. Oh, and one last benefit. This is a Class 1 rating on the firewall. So in other words, it is equivalent to a 2-hour firewall. So it's not flammable in any way, shape, or form.
See, there you go. Safety,
A great
environmentally
protection.
friendly,
Yes.
save you money. What else do you need?
Well, it'll keep rats out a lot of times
Yeah.
and bugs and all that.
Right,
So
you get them, up in those little nooks and crannies and crevices.
you got it.
Well, I appreciate you for taking
Thank
the
you,
time.
Calvin, so
Thank you.
much for this. We appreciate you as well, and look forward to helping all the listeners.
I would like to thank Tim Kite. Appreciate you taking the time to come in and talk with us. And how about our listeners? Hope everybody enjoyed the show. And we'll be back next week with more. Next week it's all about Man Cave Mayhem. So fellas, you're going to want to tune in for this one. This is the Home Sweet Home Radio Show, dedicated to helping you create the perfect living space. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye.